Mr. President, Richard Nixon stood and looked at Senator Schaefer in 1972 as he was sitting across from his desk, and he said, "Mr. Schaefer, tell me about the marijuana program, a problem that we have in this country." So, Mr. President, the marijuana is not really a problem. Mr. President, our guys have looked at this stuff upside down and backwards. Our best doctors have looked at it, and they've said that it won't hurt you. It's actually kind of beneficial, Mr. President. He said, "Mr. President, we recommend to you, Mr. Nixon, that you legalize marijuana in this country, and that we reduce the harm that's associated with these youthful indiscretions, that we reduce the harm associated with arrest and incarceration rates, because, Mr. President, if we continue this path that you want to go on in this country, we're going to have an unsustainable criminal justice system. Mr. President, would you legalize marijuana?" You guys know the answer to that question, don't you? Everybody in this country knows the answer to that question. Millions and millions and millions of lives have been ruined because of arrest, because of marijuana, because of the drug war that we have in this country. My name is Larry Talley. I'm the executive director of the Dallas-Fort Worth chapter of NORML, National Organization for the Reparation of Marijuana Laws. And we work for you. We're a grassroots, totally volunteer organization. We work tirelessly out of our own pockets and the generosity of others to try to change legislation in this state of Texas and North Texas, but more importantly also in this country. The country that for a very long time, for those of you that know me well, kind of stand before you today, a humble guy. I'm a Texas native. I grew up near Amarillo, Texas, and my parents bought a house in Plano in the early 70s. Back when Troy Duncan had all of his hair and was a really young guy. How many people know who Troy Duncan is now? He's retired a few years. Weather guy, had the bow tie, Channel 8. But that was all those years ago. I served 21 years in uniform. I served this country in uniform. I worked for the United States Navy. I just retired 3 years ago. I was involved in the drug war. The war against drugs. It's kind of an oxymoron, because I got to tell you, drugs don't fight back. The Taliban does. The Taliban shoots back. I'd rather fight the Taliban than fight drugs. But, as a guy in uniform, that's what I did for a lot of years. I served the Navy. As soon as I got in the Navy, they put me on a ship. Ship went to sea, and the ship busted another ship for 19 tons of marijuana. I thought, I didn't join the Navy to bust marijuana users, man. I grew up in West Texas. I was pretty liberal. I believed that people would do what they wanted to do. There was a time in my life I even thought about becoming involved in law enforcement. I became a certified peace officer in the state of Texas, but I couldn't bring myself to make an oath to the law. That was my biggest issue. You see, I served my country. It's like a lot of people serve their country, and we need police officers. Don't get me wrong. I love law enforcement. I wouldn't call 911, but I know a lot of my friends that would, and I hope that they do. But in my line of work, what I did was I swore an oath to the Constitution of the United States of America, and it's to the Constitution that I'm faithful. And that's why I'm standing for you here today, because after I retired from the service, I wanted to continue to dedicate my life to the service of my country, and I couldn't think of a better reason than to join an organization that bands citizens together in peaceful accord to try to petition our government for a change in our country's marijuana laws. Here's why. I believe in freedom, and I believe in justice, I believe in equality, and I believe in all those things that the Constitution stands for in this country. Now, what I came back to, I got to tell you, I was on an operation one time. This is what it's just the moment of when a guy comes to Christ. I was on an operation, and we came back and we lost people from this operation. It was a rough one. I spent most of my career with boots on the ground, not on a ship, and so I was involved in an operation where people didn't come